before we start, why don't you start by giving like a brief introduction to Show Me, your startup?
Yeah, so Show Me is, I don't know if you guys have heard of Khan Academy. It's sort of like Khan Academy, except anyone can be Khan, right? So instead of just one person, we have thousands of teachers creating many thousands of lessons that anyone can watch and learn from. And everything from chemistry to algebra to like sports and music. We also have an iPad app that lets you create these lessons really easily just by sort of drawing on it and talking on it. It's really simple. I think the way I discovered the Meetup, I think I discovered it right after I discovered just lean startup in general. At the time, we were on our first iteration of this thing that we're doing now. We started 2 years ago, and we were just spinning our wheels for months and months, and we didn't really know where we were going. We didn't know what we were doing. And Lean Startup really sort of was a revelation, and it helped us think about things in the most focused way possible, right? So ignore all the kind of bullshit and really focus on just validating your idea. I got really excited about it, and I wanted to just meet other people who had found out about this stuff, because I mean at that time it was pretty niche, right? There was not a huge kind of pivoting wasn't a buzzword back then. We had always been about education. We had always been about kind of this whiteboard concept, this sort of hand-drawn way to teach. In the beginning, it was a tutoring service. It was completely different. It was we wanted to do a tutoring service online, sort of like if Kaplan were in the cloud, right? So we were trying to build a service, and we were just running into walls left and right. And we were really focused on the technology and the product, and not as focused on the validating the idea.
So how long did it take you to build your first version?
It took 2-3 months. It wasn't crazy to build, but once we built it, we just spent a lot of time trying to refine it and trying to get it better and better. The thinking was that there weren't enough users because the product wasn't good enough. It didn't have enough features, right? So it's the classical kind of old school way of thinking. And yeah, I mean, Lean sort of came to us kind of really helped us change the way we think. We had a lot of pilot tests going. We had a lot of people, saying that they liked the product, but no one really paying for it. It should have been a pretty clear signal early on. I think we were just too stubborn or foolish to see it for longer than we should have.
Cool. So then, after you came to the first Lean Startup Meetup, started reading Eric's blog, what were some of the first things that you tried?
Steve Blanks.
And Steve Blanks, of course. 4 Steps to Epiphany.
Yeah.
Well, what were some of the first things you started putting in place and trying out?
Yes, I think, first of all, we were doing a lot of crude things that we thought were the right things to do, right? We started doing surveys. We started having interviews with potential customers and asking questions like, do you like our product? Would you use our product? Would you pay for our product? The answer is always yes, 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 and then you ask for their credit card and it's no. So, it was that kind of thing, and we were trying to do things that we saw other people do with success, and we tried to apply them kind of, and fit it into our model. And what we realized was there's no sort of blueprint. There's no, it's not really about tactics so much as a set of principles and a way to think about the stuff. So
it's not a checklist. You just check off 5 things. And
which we spent months and months doing. Going through the checklist and checking all the things the things I just talked about. And I think the second epiphany that we had after we discovered Lean was really how to approach Lean, and not from this sort of surface level thing, but more of a holistic approach to this. It was closer. We had a lot of users and we have a lot of customers, but it was still, there was something missing. And I think again, the thing that was really tough about this pivoting process, which is sort of the buzzword these days, is no one tells you when to pivot. No one tells you when you have product market fit, right? No one calls you up and and says, hey, like, good job, you know, product market fit. So it was tough to decide like when to make the transitions, and it was kind of a mixture of analysis and just gut instinct. And I think throughout the process, the thing that we just learned was we had to get to know our users from like the ground up. You know, like it wasn't just about like asking questions, you know, silly things like would you use our product. It was really just getting to know them and like what drives them, what you know, what motivates them, what are their.
And when you say that, do you mean talking to specific users, or sort of getting a general sense for who your users are?
I think both. I mean, everything that you can do to like understand the problem that you're trying to solve and on every level, right? So like we look at like market research and we look at sort of general statistics, but we also talk to users like every single day. When we started with ShowMe, it was just me and my partner kind of on this, and I was calling people like 7 times a day and having conversations where like I would talk to them for half an hour, and like most of it would just be like shooting the shit and like talking to them about just their lives. And
not about your product.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, some about our product, but it was really just getting to know them that really helped us think about stuff that we never would have asked those questions, right? We just kind of got the answers haphazardly as we talked to them. Instead of asking how can this product fit into your classroom, it was more like how do you use technology and what are the things that that you look for in technology in the classroom. And then it was like more broadly, like what kinds of tools in general, like not even technology tools, do you use, and you know, how do you sort of improve as a teacher? So all those little things that they told us, it really sort of sticks.
Were you documenting all of this, or was it more about just getting, you know, building your gut?
No, you're taking notes, and we still take notes, but there's no like spreadsheet that we fill out. There's no like checkboxes that we check off. It's more just, I guess, getting a sense of our users and then just sort of, you know, becoming intimate with them. There's always like the meeting where you know, like you've been spinning your wheels for a long time. Everyone's kind of depressed, and then you know, weeks go by, but it's like kind of in the air, and then you like call everyone for a meeting, and then nothing like we never like drastically pivoted to any. We never dropped what we were doing. We just kind of tried something, and you know, sometimes you would try something and then be like, holy shit, this is really cool. We should just do this.
So did you try a bunch of things before you got to where you are now?
Yeah, well, we tried, with ShowMe, we tried it with a tutoring specific angle first, like a test prep angle. And then as we were building it, we saw much, you know, bigger applications just across learning in general. And so we kind of, you know, there was like the major pivot and the little like subtle tiny iterations within the pivot that we just found through working on it. Just like anything else, just like any new product you build, I'm sure you sort of learn little things along the way. Same thing, I think, with a pivot that's you know, major enough. Specifically for the concept of design and like how do you design your minimum viable product, right? Like if you're not a designer, which I'm not, I think, and the answer I gave was like. And the analogy I made was there's this like technology stack that we use that we just get a ton of stuff for free or for really cheap, right? Like EC2 or, you know, Dropbox for file sharing or Skype for messaging. And these are tools that we use in our business to help us grow really quickly and really cheaply. But the analog to design is there are no like specific tools. There's just every website, every app ever built by man that you can just kind of take from. And it's not sustainable forever, obviously. You have to kind of make your own way eventually. But for getting to the minimal viable product, for testing your hypotheses, it's the perfect way to kind of to do the little things by and not having to reinvent the wheel every time.
So walk through some examples that you borrowed for ShowMe.
Yeah, so I mean, ShowMe is a very video-heavy site. So we took a lot from Vimeo, we took a lot from YouTube, and we noticed certain kind of conventions that were happening. You know, this is pretty obvious if you're a designer, but like videos on the left, and it's the big column, and you have like a sidebar on the right. But what's really interesting is how Vimeo and YouTube treat similar elements, like the sidebar. Vimeo shows videos from the same video uploader. YouTube shows videos that are just related videos, not necessarily from the same person. You know, they're trying to accomplish different goals using these design elements, right? So YouTube's trying to get page views and page views and page views. Vimeo's trying to get a sense of like the artist's portfolio and aesthetic, right? And it's more of a kind of self-expression mechanism. So, you know, I think once you start looking at things from that kind of perspective, you start noticing these things, and you start getting used to kind of bring them into your own ideas. And, you know, just like YouTube might have taken Vimeo's ideas and fit them into their goals, or vice versa, we try to do that with, you know, by looking at those two sites the right way. And with this new thing, you know, when we put up the beta for the first time, we had like thousands of signups from teachers like across the world, and we were like, what the hell is happening? And it turned out that the teachers were just like sharing it on Twitter with their friends, and you know, just getting other people to sign up. And so that was pretty clear, like, if not traction, then at least validation for what you're trying to do. Because at that point, it was kind of a nascent idea, and it wasn't fully built out. And then when we launched, we had, you know, we were up to like 200,000 downloads in like 3 months. So it's, you know, it becomes more and more obvious, I guess, like when you have traction. Yeah, I mean, I guess specifically for Lean, I would treat it, again, as a set of principles and not as like a game plan or a blueprint. And really sort of, you know, ask what is right for your business and your product. I guess entrepreneurship in general, I would say the biggest thing that's helped me, and this is like case in point, is that the community, right? Like the New York startup community is so like rich and amazing, and it's free knowledge and free help and free advice that you can't get if you're...
And a free shoulder to cry on.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's like, you know, being a founder is a super lonely profession, right? Like, you're just in your apartment, or I was for like a year and a half, and it's really depressing sometimes, most of the time. And to be able to like talk to like-minded people, you know, and really sort of share ideas and just sort of, you know, have a beer together, it's pretty amazing. And I would say that the third thing I would say is entrepreneurship isn't as risky as I think people seem to make it out to be. Just from like a super, I don't know, douchey way of thinking about it, it's a great career move. Like if you start a company and you can prove some whatever progress, that's a huge plus for you. Like if you try to get a job, I mean, everyone's trying to hire entrepreneurial, self-starter type of people, and you know, if I lost Xiaomi, you know, one day, I would probably be like fairly well off, much better off than I was before I started the company. So you know, I tell kids that it's like getting an MBA, except much better and much cheaper. So you know, it's the greatest learning experience, right? Like I just learn so much every day still. So I can't, you know, recommend it highly enough.